a lot of what this 10-minute presentation is about content and engaging with users online. So it's got a lot of parallels. So this is particularly about getting onto page one of Google organically, which means getting indexed and ranked in the top 10 links that you see on page one in Google. Not about the maps or pay-per-click, which is like the Google ads that you see at the top. Those are other viable ways of getting onto page one of Google. And maps, I would certainly suggest spending some time on for your business, because it's a free way to get onto page one of Google, and can get you good leads and everything. But this presentation is much more about the organic, getting onto page one through your natural page ranking, getting up there organically, which we're going to explain a little bit about why you'd want to do that. Just as a quick overview, this is the different places you might get onto page one on Google. There's the ads right at the top there, then there's the maps bit, which sometimes is on the side, sometimes right there, and then the organic links are below. So you might think, oh, it'd be better to have ads because I'm right at the top, but the quality of the traffic is actually much better from organic. So yeah, if you were to drill down into your Google Analytics data, if you've ever ran a pay-per-click Google AdWords campaign, you might see that, you probably will see that the traffic that comes through from AdWords is less engaged. They spend less time on the site, they visit less pages on the website, they're less likely to convert. In most cases, you might have certain keywords that you get a very good conversion ratio on, but generally speaking, across the board, your more engaged users are going to come through organic, and it's obviously also got a benefit of you don't have to pay for every click. Google don't charge you to index your site, they just do it, and you've got some tools like Search Console and things like that, where you can sort of ask Google to re-index your site. So there's plenty of free tools from Google which give you the sort of power to be able to make sure you are being indexed. So yeah, there's definitely cost benefit. You do have to create the content, which obviously has a cost, either your time or you're outsourcing that. But once you've got that content there, you're not paying for each click. You're just paying for your ongoing sort of services, creating new content and for your hosting and stuff like that. So so the cost can be lower, but obviously it could be higher as well if you're creating an awful lot of content. Also, as well as being engaged, getting the engaged users on your site, you're also building up domain authority over time. The longer you're up in the page one of Google, getting lots of clicks to your website, the more domain authority you're getting. I'm going to come back to domain authority a little bit later on, but yeah, I'm probably going too slow, and this is going to run to about 20 minutes, so let me move on. So what's page rank? So Google uses over 200 different factors to determine your page rank. That's a trade secret from Google. They don't release what those are and which ones have the most weight, but we know that the content is the key, because Google's concerned about what its users find interesting. So, if they're searching for something, they're going to try and match them up against the website that's the most relevant for their search. So the content on the website is really how Google will, place value on your site. So content is really what you want to focus on. Other things are obviously important, things like speed, security and usability, they're all important. A big thing is shareability. So if your content is shareable, people are going to retweet it or pop it onto LinkedIn, things like that. And that's going to boost the overall engagement and buzz around your domain name, essentially, because it's your domain name that gets the sort of page rank and the authority generally. You probably have some URLs that rank higher than others, but yeah, it's all feeding towards your domain and getting its credibility up there. You can get unlisted and things like that. So if Google sees that your website's been hacked, or that, which it's a different matter, which we could always. That's fine. So getting on to the domain authority examples, here's a few websites and their domain authority according to Moz, which is a sort of big SEO website, gives you some data. domain authority is a number between 1 and 100, and it's sort of the more credibility your website has. So like if you can see there, Northampton Chron, the Chronicle and Echo has domain authority of 68, which is pretty strong. There's a lot of people linking to their site, and that means that they're seen as very sort of a reputable source of information. A brand new website, something like BuzzCon's, only probably been registered for like a couple of years and probably only had content on for a year. So you know, its domain authority is still in the growing stage. It's got 15 at the moment, which isn't bad, but that will continue to grow over time. The higher your domain authority is, there's a term called link juice, which is a little bit outdated, but there is still a thing called backlinks. You know, a website with a high authority, if that links to you, that's going to boost your reputation by association. Whereas a website with a low authority, you know, 10 or 9 or whatever, is linking to you and you've already got 20, that's not really going to boost your reputation all that much, because they're a lower quality score essentially. So yeah, it's important to get those links to your website, but from the reputable sources. But those reputable sources are less likely to link to you, so it's a bit of a catch-22. But yeah, it's certainly worth you know, keeping those kind of things in mind. Who could link to your website, and that is a reputable source. That's going to boost up your profile and help get you onto page one. Obviously, like I said, the content's what you want to focus on. Don't focus on backlinks. But yeah, it's something to bear in mind, because it does it certainly feeds into the PageRank algorithm. So sorry if that bit was a bit technical. We'll get into the slightly more actionable stuff now. So steps to take. You can review your content and make sure you're adding timely updates, so blog posts, or you know, changing your static content when it's outdated, all that kind of stuff. Google will see that you're updating your website. It will like that. Can you be link worthy? How shareable are your posts, and is your content? So yeah, definitely you want to be thinking about who's going to engage with this content. I mean, business to business, there might be some content you're not really like, oh, people aren't going to share this isn't going to go viral, but that's not really what's most important. If you can write it in a way that's engaging and it's useful to your users, that's the most important thing. It doesn't need to go viral for it to be ranking on page 1 of Google. So that's absolutely fine. Just focus on what your users need and expect from your website. Installs an SEO plugin, something like Yoast. That'll help you point you in the right direction with its little traffic light system as to where you can fill in certain fields on your website CRM, content management system. I said CRM, CMS. But yeah, that'll tell you, you know, where you're missing out on, potentially helping the post do its best in terms of titles and alt text and stuff. That's all quite self-explanatory if you use Yoast. If not, then speak to your website developer and they'll be able to fill in any blanks in your knowledge about that kind of stuff. It's all very helpful for ranking. And try to rank on phrases that are a bit more niche. So trying to rank on Daventry kitchen design, thank you, is going to be a lot easier than trying to rank on bespoke kitchen design, because of the amount of competition. So there's a lot of people trying to get onto page 1 organically for bespoke kitchen design. So it's going to be that much harder for you to rank for that phrase. So, you know, try and think about something that's a little bit more unique, and then you're more likely to rank on that. Easier to measure that performance as well. So certainly measuring is important, as this slide mentions. I think this is the last slide, but yeah, so use Google Analytics. It's a free tool. You may as well use it. It's very helpful to see what's happening over time. I'd also advise tracking your positions over time. So, you know, if you were on page 1 and now you're on page 2, that might mean that you need to address some of your content. Hopefully you'll see that you're constantly going up, so from page 3 to 2 to 1, and being able to track that over time is quite useful, knowing if you've got any issues as well, like 404 errors, things like that. Google Search Console will give you that information, so you can ask your web developer to do this stuff for you. So obviously take appropriate action when needed. So if your site gets hacked, fix that quickly. So yeah, write excellent content, make sure your site's very functional and has a decent authority if you can, yeah, you'll get a great page ranking depending on the competition for that search. So that is everything. That was the presentation. Sorry if I ran over. I don't know if I did, but yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Wicked, thank you very much, Tom. Has anybody got any questions?
So that was really useful, Tom. I've been meaning to go onto Google Analytics for ages. I've never done it, but I've written it down. It's given me the push to do it.
Definitely, yeah. There's some really cool metrics on there. Things like time on site can be very useful. You can see like, oh, people who come in from this blog post tend to spend 4 or 5 minutes on my website, whereas people who come in from this blog post only spend about 30 seconds on my site. You're like, let's do more blogs like that one, like, you know, the one engaging your users. So yeah, no, there's a lot of useful data in there.
James, you've got your hand up, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, Charles. Yeah, well done, Tom. That's great. I mean, with regard to the analytics side of things, and I'm naive on that side. I'm a money guy, yeah. So I understand there's people who deal in social media in the room who are experts on that side of things. But what sort of consultancy would funnel down into the information there and actually target advertising? Is that something which a marketing agent would do, or a digital marketing agent do? What sort of business actually would do the hard work there for a guy like me or someone like me who really doesn't want to sit looking at pages of data all day?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, certainly there's people call themselves like SEO consultants. I mean, SEO kind of gets a bit of a bad rap because it's a bit of a dark art, because obviously this is an inexact science. We're learning from trial and error rather than learning from unpicking Google's algorithm, which we're never going to get a chance to do unless we work at Google, and then we've got an NDA. But yeah, it's SEO consultant. It's probably what you're looking for, a digital marketing agency. There's a lot of digital sort of public relations companies as well. But yeah, there's certainly many businesses that would tackle the data crunching side of things and then present you with a simple report which you can see your key metrics on. I do a little bit of that for some businesses, but I tend to do more web development, but SEO is always at the forefront of my mind, because there's no point doing website development unless people are coming to the website and using it. So yeah, that's why I have you know, do a lot of research when it comes to Google and the data. But yeah, if it's not something you want to do yourself, speak to your website developer. I'm sure they'll be able to point you in the right direction with someone who yeah, is more focused on the data side of things.
Right. Kevin?
Yeah, I just wanted, Tom said something in that I think is really important that we need to remember, is when he said about getting the right people to the site, you know, and I think if anybody's looking at SEO or looking at how to optimize their site, it's really important that you do the pre-work and say, okay, who am I talking to? And make sure that anything you do is targeted at them and not at that general traffic that, you know, is the problem that, you know, that Tom said with PPCU. I don't know about anybody else, but I will not click on a clearly ad link anymore. In fact, so, you know, people pay thousands of pounds for me to ignore them.
Is that what it takes?
It's not that much.
In your case, a couple of packs of crisps and a pickled egg, mate. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. So, you know.
No, is there any other questions for Tom? If not, if we all give him a round of applause, say thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for the kind words.